Welcome to Down to Business with V, a show dedicated to bringing you actionable information to help protect you, your families, your businesses, and the community. I'm your host V, and today we're bringing you From Zero to $10 Million, How to Do It Safely. We've called in a CEO and co-founder of a service provider platform to share his insight on the issues and offer solutions for your business. And as always, we'll share what to do if you're a victim of fraud. Stay tuned for that and more. Let's get down to business.
From Atlanta, Georgia, to becoming a United States Marine, to Washington, D.C., and every place in between, everybody calls me V. My goal is to bring you resources, education, and knowledge from sources you can trust that informs and protects to safeguard our families, our businesses, and the community. Now let's get down to business.
Welcome to Down to Business with V. I'm your host V, and today we're discussing how to take your business from zero to $10 million and how to do it safely. We have in the studio with us via Zoom, Brian Clayton, CEO and co-founder of GreenPal. Brian Clayton isn't just another CEO. He's a visionary and a groundbreaker. As the mastermind behind GreenPal, an innovative and online marketplace dubbed the Uber for lawn care by Entrepreneur Magazine, he's revolutionizing the way homeowners connect with local lawn care pros. Boasting over 200,000 active users, GreenPal pulses with thousands of transactions daily, a testament to Brian's knack for understanding the market needs. Before this digital marvel, he birthed Peachtree Inc., transforming it into a landscaping giant in the state of Tennessee. Under his leadership, it soared to an impressive $10 million in annual revenue, ultimately catching the eye of Lusa Holdings, which acquired it in 2013. Brian has a fervor for entrepreneurialism, marketing, and the art of bootstrapping businesses from humble beginnings to soaring success. His journey from zero to profitability and then to a grand exit offers invaluable insights for budding entrepreneurs and seasoned business veterans alike. Here's my interview with Brian Clayton. Brian, thank you so much for being with us.
V, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Brian, I'm so excited to have this discussion with you. I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, and we're going to be directing this episode at entrepreneurs and startups. And talking about how to go from zero to 10 million and how to do it safely. You have done it at least twice, and who better to learn from than somebody that's actually done it and done it with experience and street smarts. I like to say street smarts, not only book smarts, but street smarts. So we're going to be talking about that today. Your first company, Peachtree Landscaping. Talk to us about that journey, what Peachtree Landscaping did, and then how it ended for you.
Yeah. So I actually just started mowing yards in high school as a way to make extra cash, and something about owning my own business just resonated with me, and I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, and I decided, well, I'm going to stick with this, and I kept mowing lawns in high school and in college, and I went to business school, and when I graduated college, I learned a little bit about how to make a business plan, I guess, and so I made a little business plan, and over a 15-year period of time, ended up building that into one of the larger landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee, where I live, getting it to about 150 employees, $10 million a year in revenue, and then eventually that business was acquired by a big national organization, and then I took some time off after that, and everything that I learned in that business, I plowed into GreenPal, which is now the Uber for lawn care.
I love it. I love it. And you know, this journey from one business to another, what was that like, growing Peachtree up from that 0 to 10 million? What were some of the hurdles that you went through and some of the things that you saw before you got to that point where a national company was looking to acquire it?
Yeah, I think if you are doing a small business with all of your heart and soul, that you will evolve into a whole new person every year or two. And so that's kind of how it was for me. You know, the first couple of years, I was just learning how to work hard with my hands. And then the second and third, the level of the game, I was learning how to hire an employee and train them. And then I had to learn how to get the unit economics of the business right, meaning I was actually making money doing what we were doing. And then I had to learn how to like a leadership and a management style. And so like I was evolving as a new person every couple of years. And looking back, 15 years in my first business and 10 years now in my second, it really does feel like a video game. It's like every level has its own sets of challenges, and you just throw everything you've got into every each level at a time, and not worry about Bowser when you're on level two. And I've been guilty of that, where I thought I was on level seven and I was really on level three. And like we just need to do the things we need to do to get through level three. And a lot of times it's you as the founder are acquiring new skills. You're learning things. You're learning things like around business strategy or copywriting or business processes or employee training, and all of these different skills you're learning, which are kind of like tools to get through that level of the game.
Yeah, I like that you liken it to a video game, saying take one level at a time. Brian, you talked about how you grew this company, scaled it up. As an entrepreneur who has also built multiple companies, I know how difficult it is to release your baby. What was that like when you sold Peachtree Landscaping to this national company? What was that like?
Yeah, it was challenging and emotional, and I didn't expect it to be emotional, but it was challenging in the sense that I had to reverse engineer a lot of things into the business to get it sold, to get it acquired. They were looking for a company that had systems and processes in place that I didn't necessarily have. So it took like 2 years to take the business down to the studs and rebuild it almost to where a national company would buy it. And then after that, I thought that I was just going to like live the good life and like do investing and not work myself to death. And I never wanted to start another business. But there was like this emotional period I went through where now there was really no mission. There was no reason to get out of bed in the morning. There was no answer to the question, like, if it wasn't for me, then what? And so my business has always been the answer to those questions. It's been the reason why what I was doing mattered. And so I thought, well, I'm going to start another project. I'm going to start another. I have an idea that an app should exist, that there should be an Uber for lawn care, and I'm going to try to build it. And so recruited two co-founders, and we started working on the idea and haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. And you know, you talk about that video game level, going from the Peachtree Landscaping, taking that from 0 to 10 million, selling that off to the national company. And then that entrepreneurial brain kicks in again and says, let's do it again. Talk to us about how you went from level one, you called it, in the video game, to level two as the capital allocator when you built out GreenPal, starting it from the ground up again, and how that transition from, you know, the first level to the second level happens.
Yeah, it was really challenging in a sense because I was a second time founder, but I was really a first time founder all over again. This was now a tech company. And so what I had just built and sold was very much a blue collar, traditional type of business. And so I kind of had to learn all new skills all over again. So it was kind of like you beat one game and then you pick up another and you got to start all over. And that's how it was for me. And so it was humbling in that sense that I had just sold a $10 million landscaping company, but now I'm begging people to use this app to get a lawn mowing for $27. And so that was humbling in a sense, but I had to work each level at a time again. It's like, okay, let's not worry about anything else. Let's get through level one. Let's just get 100 customers and figure out how to keep 100 customers. And that took 2 years. It took 2 years to get just 100 customers. Today there's 300,000 users of the platform, but back then it was just, let's just get to 100. And then now level two, let's just get to 1,000. Let's do everything we can do to will this thing to 1,000. And then something kicked in about level two, level three, metaphorically, that I realized, okay, we're making a little bit of money now, and now I have to put money back out to work. And so I'm kind of wearing the hat of a capital allocator. Money's coming in, and I'm putting money back out to work. And I had played those levels of the game already in my first business. I kind of knew what that looked like and felt like. So I thought, okay, now I need to hire the right people. I need to get the right contractors on the platform. I need to get, maybe there's a marketing agency I need to work with, or maybe there is a freelancer that does a very specific thing that I need help with. And I'm bringing money in and I'm putting money back out to work. And the levels 3 4 through 10 kind of are different variations of being a wise capital allocator.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I like that you touched on hiring smart people. When you get to level 3 or the next level in the game, you've done the management stuff yourself for a while. You've grown. That there comes a time when you've got to hire people smarter than you. You said, talk to us about that, because we've got entrepreneurs and business owners that are going to be looking at this who might be at that juncture. Tell them how you make that leap.
Yeah, so you got money coming in and you need to put money back out to work. So a lot of that means getting somebody who's smarter than you at some specific thing on the bus with you and on the journey with you. One of my favorite books about this sort of thing is The E Myth by Michael Gerber, and he talks about in that book building an org chart. And even if it's just you and maybe you and 2 employees, you still need an org chart. So there's a head of finance, head of marketing, head of R&D, head of customer service. There's a head of customer satisfaction. There's all of these different roles, and it's going to be your name on every one of those roles. And then as time goes on, you figure out, okay, I'm doing all of these things, I'm wearing all of these hats. I need to hire a specific person to hire me with this one skill set. And so I need to hire a head of marketing, or I need to hire a head of operations, or I need to hire a head of employee training, just whatever one specific piece of the business is. And you're looking for somebody who has the skill sets to be better at that than you are. And if you can do that over and over again and build out an org chart, build out scaffolding around you, that's how you scale, and that's how you get through the next 8 levels of the game.
Yeah, I call it harnessing intellectual assets. You don't have to know everything. You've got to have other people that do and be able to rely on them for that
Bingo.
knowledge. Yes. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more to CEO of GreenPal, Brian Clayton, about how to go from 0 to 10 million and how to do it safely. We'll be back.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker horde.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Every organization is responsible for ensuring cybersecurity. The ability to protect its information systems from impairment or even theft is essential to success. Implementing effective security measures will not only offer liability protection, it will also increase efficiency and productivity. With our cybersecurity workshop, your participants will understand the different types of malware and security breaches. Develop effective prevention methods which will increase overall security. They'll also understand the basic concepts associated with cybersecurity and what a company needs to stay secure.
Find out more about training for you and your organization at vicargroup.com.
Welcome back to Down to Business with V. I'm your host, V, and today we're discussing how to go from 0 to 10 million and how to do it safely. We're talking to our business owners and entrepreneurs today, so you want to stay tuned for this. We've been talking with the CEO of GreenPal. He's done this multiple times. Brian Clayton's in the studio with us via Zoom. Welcome back, Brian.
V, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, I'm so excited. We had an awesome discussion on the first half. We ended up talking about getting the right people on the bus, which is hiring smart people, hiring people smarter than yourself. Talk to us about getting the wrong people off the bus.
Yeah, it's critical. You have to hire fast, but fire faster, and it's a mistake I've made many times in 20 years of trying to do this. And you're not going to be able to get where you're trying to go alone. You've got to build a team of smart people around you. the first 4 or 5 hires are critical. They're kind of like co-founders in a sense. And if you get those wrong, it can kind of change the trajectory of how the next decade looks like. And so you really need to think about it like that. And once you've reached a point of necessary ending with somebody who you've hired, you have got to make the hard decision, and you have got to send them on their way, and you've got to get somebody better in their spot, because if you don't, you're making a weak decision. You're making a weak decision for the business. It's not fair to everybody else who's working in the business. It's not fair to your customers, and it's not fair to that person who probably you messed up and hired in the first place. So a lot of times I've had to come to grips with, this is actually my fault. It's not this person's fault. It's my fault. I didn't pick up on something when I hired them. I'm the one that brought them on, and I made a mistake somewhere. And so now I need to correct it. I need to rip the Band-Aid off. And a lot of times we kind of hope is not a strategy when dealing with bad people in the business. It's kind of like we want to kick the can down the road and hope it goes away, hope it gets better. And the thing is, it never gets better. It gets worse. So once you've reached that point, it's time to cut them loose, and it's time to figure out where you went wrong, fix that, and get the right person on the bus.
Yeah, fix it and get the right person on the bus. I love it. Having been in leadership in corporate America as well as my own businesses, that's always a very tough juncture to come to when you realize it's time for this person to go. And then going beyond that point, it generally ends in an additional amount of pain. Very wise points there. Ryan, you talked a lot about the 3 things that you have to work on as part of going from the 0 to $10 million business. Talk to us about those 3 points: in the business, on the business, and on yourself.
Yeah, these are 3 things that you need to make time for. You have to literally look at a week, 7 days of the week, and figure out, when am I going to do these things? In the business, I'm just trying to make the business work, make customers happy. I'm trying to fulfill orders. I'm trying to make sure equipment is ready to be used. I'm making sure that I have enough employees. I'm making sure that the trains are running on time. Then you have to work on the business. What does my employee training system look like? What does my marketing strategy look like? What are my marketing campaigns doing? How do I tweak those? What's the company culture look like? What is the accounting and bookkeeping? Is that tight and sound? Or are we making money? Are we losing money? You're working on the business. The third thing is you're working on yourself. What are the books you're reading? What are the podcasts you're listening to? YouTube University. What a time to be alive. You can learn anything you got to learn on YouTube for free. What is the content you're consuming? If you're really trying to get a business of 10 figures, your car needs to be a mobile classroom. It is, when you're in the car, you're learning. You don't even know what Spotify is. You don't even know what Drake's new album sounds like, because you're listening to podcasts while you're in the car. And if you do this long enough, you'll start to notice, okay, I'm picking up new skills. I'm a whole new person than I was 2 or 3 years ago. And as time goes on, maybe in the early days, 90% of your time was in the business, and 5 was in the other two buckets. But as time goes on, you invert that. And now you've got systems and processes and people in place where 5% of your time is in the business, and the rest of the time is doing high leverage things like working on yourself and working on systems for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Making your car a mobile university in a sense.
That's right.
And harnessing all those. Yeah, absolutely. You talked a little bit earlier about getting the wrong people off the bus. As a fraud mitigation show, and we're talking today specifically to business owners about how to go from 0 to 10 million safely. We want to address that aspect of, it's very uncomfortable when you have to look at insider threats. Those are people that are in your company that might not have the best intentions. Let's talk about that and any experiences you may have with that.
Yeah, trust but verify, and don't test human nature. Don't tempt people. Make it to where it's a no-brainer to not try to steal from you and steal from the company. And if you're not, this is me speaking to myself. I've been lazy, and I kind of kept my eye off the ball. And one time in my former business, which was a traditional landscaping business, I had 120 employees, and one of my managers was running one of the crews, and he was doing half the week on company locations, and the other half he was servicing his own properties and making money cash under the table with my equipment, my gas, my employees, my people. This went on for like over a year. Whose fault was that? It's my fault because I didn't have the systems in place. I didn't have the GPS on that truck. I didn't have a routine where every Friday we monitor and look at the stops, and we look at, okay, is this crew hitting the points that it needs to hit? Are they hitting the metrics they need to hit? It was a lazy decision on my part. I tempted human nature, and I paid the price. So yeah, don't tempt your people. Make it a safe working environment that has controls in place.
Yeah, as someone that works in fraud mitigation, I'm always looking at things from the threat perspective. If you give me a creative solution, I see the creative solution, but I also see the threat there. And so, having entrepreneurs have that mindset that you've got to be looking out for what could go wrong as well in the midst of being the perpetual optimist and
Right.
having this big creative idea. So and I think we've all fallen victim to that, having someone that's not necessarily above board and they're doing things they shouldn't. But I love that you stated whose fault was that? That was my fault. You said that you took extreme ownership in that situation, and kudos for you, because that's what leaders do, Brian. That's what leaders do.
Well, I appreciate that. The marketplace will spank you on the butt if you don't take ownership. So there's only one way to do it.
Yeah, you got that right. So let's, in our the last segment here, let's talk about what trust and safety is in a business and how our business owners can leverage it to be a competitive advantage.
It's something that unfortunately you can't take your eye off of in the early days, and as you scale, you have to figure out how to build a fortress around what it is you're doing. And hope is not a strategy. You can't just hope you won't be a victim of fraud, because scammers aren't looking to scam your business. Scammers are looking to just be scammers. They're going to scam everybody, and you have to make it so difficult and so not lucrative for them to try to scam you, scam the business, scam people who use your platform or marketplace. And for us, we look at it in three buckets: prevention, disruption, and response. So we look at, how do we prevent bad actors from even coming into our place of business? How do we prevent bad actors from doing business with us? And then when they do get in somehow, how do we disrupt what it is they're trying to do to where it's just not even lucrative to do it? And then if they get past those two things, how do we respond to it quickly? What is the routine? What is the standard operating procedure for responding to an incident? And then always tuning and tweaking these things and experimenting. It never ends. It's always something you have to have your mind on, and it's always something you have to allocate time and resources towards.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked a little bit about the preventative piece, putting in those safeguards ahead of time so that it's harder for malicious actors to come in and run the scam. And I've always said, as someone in fraud mitigation, that they're going to take the scam and run it on any platform that they could get. And that's whether it's at a bank. That's the old school way to do things. They would actually show up at a bank and defraud that way, in person, over the counter, hand over the money. Now they're using digital platforms to do that. We've done some talks about what happens in the metaverse. The metaverse is already here and people are using it, and those threat actors are in that space as well. So you're right, scammers are going to scam. It's just a matter of where they're doing it. As we close out today, can you give our viewers some tips on what they can do as consumers? Or business owners, some steps that they can take to prevent fraud from happening to them or to their businesses. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when. It's going to happen. You have to have a plan in place. You have to look at ways to prevent this sort of thing from happening. And it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Because as scammers try to scam you, try to scam people within your company, try to scam customers, you'll get better. You'll get more resilient. You will build a better business. It's almost like they are testing controls within your business to make it better. And if you make it better and better and better, then you have a competitive advantage where your way of doing things with your business is safer than the alternatives. It's safer than pen and pad. It's safer than Craigslist. It's safer than Facebook Marketplace. So now this isn't expense. This is an investment, and you have now a selling tool. This is the safest place to conduct business in this industry. Therefore, you should do business with us.
Wow. Brian, you said something so profound I've never heard anybody say. When we talk about extreme ownership and leadership, you said it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. I've never heard anybody take that perspective on fraud. That, when these fraudsters come and they attempt to test your controls, that they're actually making you and your platform better. Wow,
That's right.
What an amazing perspective to have. Definitely a paradigm shift.
Yeah, and I think to get a business going and to build a safe place for people to conduct business, you have to have that mentality. If you don't, you'll just keep spinning your wheels. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you, the founder. It is going to be your responsibility to make it better and make it right.
Yeah, you got that right. And like you said, the world will come and spank you if you don't take ownership
That's right.
for it.
That's right.
I love it. Brian, thank you so much for all you've shared today. You've taken 2 businesses from 0 to multiple millions. You've done it safely, you've done it effectively, and you've got a template in place for all of us to follow. Just great best practices for how to do business and how to do it safely. Thank you so much for all the wisdom you've shared with us today. We appreciate the great things you've done and then the struggles you had to overcome to get there. Those of us who are entrepreneurs know that it isn't always easy. So congratulations. Number 1, kudos, and I salute you, sir. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, V. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. Superhero without a cape. Brian Clayton. If you or someone you know has been a victim of a data breach, account compromise, deep fakes, or digital impersonation fraud, contact your local police department or the FBI at ic3.gov. Also, be sure to visit our sponsor, Vicar Group LLC, business consultants for Generation U, at vicargroup.com for cybersecurity awareness training and other resources to help protect you, your families, your businesses, and the community. If you'd like to sponsor the show, be a guest on the show, or have show ideas, feel free to contact us at dtbwithv.com. I'd like to thank our crew today: Doug, Suzanne, Zach, Jen, Stephen, and David. We couldn't do it without you. I'm your host, V. This is Down to Business with V, and we'll see you next time.